Missed by 8 Inches by Lionel D'Souza is a saga of two friends from a remote Indian town, whose journey leads them to manage U.S. Army facilities in a war zone. The core of the narrative is the tragic demise of one friend and the wrongful accusation of the other for leading him to his death. More than a story of loss and injustice, the book is a testament to the unyielding strength of their friendship, detailing their solidarity, shared laughter, and mutual support amid danger. It is a tribute to the unsung civilian contractors who work defenseless in war zones, sacrificing their lives, and whose stories of courage and sacrifice are often untold. Readers will journey with the two friends, witnessing the strength of their bond and the weight of their sacrifices. Please watch the previous chapters to help better understand Chapter 18. We are now moving to Chapter 18, titled Final Exit from Missed by 8 Inches, authored by Lionel D'Souza. We reached the airport and thanked the police officers who had escorted us. Both of us said our goodbyes, and CO George embarked on his journey to Mumbai, with plans to continue on to Abu Dhabi. Meanwhile, I boarded a flight bound for Bangalore. CO George's departure was scheduled before mine, and before he left, he shared some words of wisdom with me. Look, this is not the end of the world. I have faced many losses in my time and have always found a way to move forward, so don't let this stop you. His words resonated deeply with me, even as tears lingered in my eyes. I expressed my heartfelt gratitude for his unwavering support during this difficult time and bid him farewell with a wave as he proceeded through the hangar. His presence and advice provided a sense of comfort and strength, reminding me that resilience is key in overcoming life's challenges. As I touched down in Bangalore, I was greeted by the warm and familiar faces of my family waiting for me at the terminal. My wife, spotting me from a distance, rushed over and enveloped me in a tight, comforting embrace. The tears flowed freely, a mix of relief at finally being home and the lingering sorrow for Andrew. She held me close, whispering soothing words of comfort, urging me to let go of the ordeal and come home with them. Her presence was a balm to my aching heart, and I could feel the weight of the past days slowly lifting off my shoulders. My children, standing nearby, looked on with concern and love, their eyes reflecting the emotional turmoil we had all been through. They too joined in the embrace, creating a cocoon of warmth and support around me. I was at a loss for words, my emotions evident in the tears that continued to stream down my face. The airport, bustling with activity, seemed to fade into the background as I focused on the love and support of my family. Their unwavering presence reminded me that, despite the hardships, I was not alone. The journey back from the airport was enveloped in a heavy silence, with neither my wife nor I uttering a word. The weight of recent events hung in the air, making it difficult to find the right words. I engaged in brief conversations with the children, trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy, but my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The landscape outside the car window blurred as I replayed the events of the past few days in my mind. During the drive, I reached out to Neil to update him on the funeral proceedings and to inform him of CO George's return to the base and the support he had rendered. Neil, understanding the gravity of the situation, suggested that I take a 2-week leave to spend time with my family and recuperate. His proposal was sensible, yet I found myself unable to commit immediately. My response was a simple, "I will update," as my mind continued to grapple with the day's events and the emotional toll they had taken on me. As we neared home, the familiar sights of our neighborhood brought a small measure of comfort. My wife reached over and gently squeezed my hand, a silent gesture of support and understanding. The children, sensing the somber mood, remained quiet, their presence a reminder of the love and strength that awaited me at home. Despite the turmoil within, I knew that with my family by my side, I would find a way to navigate through this challenging time. The silence that had begun on our car ride home lingered into the night, casting a somber shadow over the house. I found myself unable to initiate conversation, lost in my own thoughts and the weight of recent events. Seeking solace, I retrieved a bottle and settled myself on the veranda, hoping the quiet of the evening would bring some clarity. The cool night air was a stark contrast to the turmoil within me. Meanwhile, my wife tended to the children, gently ushering them to sleep with soothing words and tender care. Once they were settled, she joined me outside, her presence a silent comfort. We sat together in the stillness, the only sounds being the occasional rustle of leaves and distant city noises. The decision I had come to weighed heavily on my mind, though the words had yet to find their way past my lips. I felt lost, both physically and mentally. The thoughts of leaving my family, the fear of being labeled a murderer, and the haunting memories of the last few days spent at Andrew's funeral swirled in my mind. Each thought was like a heavy stone, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. My wife, sensing my inner turmoil, reached out and took my hand in hers, offering silent support. As we sat there, the enormity of the situation began to sink in. I knew I needed to talk to her, to share the burden of my thoughts and fears, but the words seemed stuck in my throat. The veranda, usually a place of peace and relaxation, now felt like a battleground for my emotions. As she took her place beside me, I found my voice, albeit shaky, and with tears brimming in my eyes, I confessed, "I can't do this anymore. I can't continue to put my life on the line, and I long to return home for good." My wife, understanding the depth of my turmoil, wrapped her arms around me in a firm embrace, silently nodding in agreement. Her embrace was warm and reassuring, a silent promise that she understood and supported my decision. The weight of my confession seemed to lift slightly as I felt her unwavering support. We sat there for a while, wrapped in each other's arms, the silence now filled with a sense of mutual understanding and shared resolve. The night air was cool, and the stars above seemed to twinkle with a newfound brightness, as if acknowledging the moment of clarity and decision. My wife's presence beside me was a beacon of hope, guiding me through the darkness of my thoughts. Her silent nod spoke volumes, conveying her acceptance and readiness to face whatever lay ahead together. As the minutes passed, a sense of peace gradually enveloped me. Leaving behind a life filled with constant danger and uncertainty was not an easy decision. The army had been like a second family to me, and the base felt like a second home. There were many emotions and memories tied to that life. However, withdrawing myself was necessary for my well-being and for the sake of my family. My wife held me tightly as tears of uncertainty fell from my eyes. I knew I had to return, but I was unsure how the future would unfold, given my experience was solely in handling operations in war zones. With her by my side, we had to find the courage to navigate this new chapter of our lives together. On the 11th of January, we embarked on our journey back to Dubai. The days leading up to our departure were filled with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Prior to leaving, I had arranged for a 3-week shift starting on the 13th and duly reported to the base on the designated date. The familiar surroundings of the base brought a sense of routine, but my mind was still preoccupied with the recent events and the decision I had made. That evening, Neil expressed a desire to dine together, marking the occasion with a bottle of scotch. It was a gesture of fellowship and support, something I deeply appreciated. As we sat down to dinner, Neil, who had been updated by CO George on the sequence of events, expressed his deep sorrow for all that had transpired. His empathy and understanding were evident, and it felt good to have someone who could relate to the gravity of the situation. During our conversation, I voiced out to Neil the discussion I had with my wife. I told him, "Neil, it's been more than a decade that I have served the Army as a contractor. The experiences have been invaluable, but the toll it has taken on me and my family is undeniable. After much contemplation, I have come to the conclusion that it's time to end this ordeal and return to India for good." Neil listened intently, his expression a mix of concern and understanding. He nodded slowly, acknowledging the weight of my decision. "I understand," he said, his voice steady. "You've given so much, and it's only right that you think about your well-being and your family's future. We'll miss you, but I support your decision wholeheartedly." However, Neil also resisted my decision and asked me to reconsider. He suggested taking a break and seeing how things go before making a final decision. He was not in favor of me resigning and returning immediately. He believed that with some time off, I might find a renewed perspective and perhaps decide to stay. His concern was genuine, and he wanted to ensure that I wasn't making a hasty decision in the heat of the moment. Despite his resistance, I remained firm in my resolve. After much persuasion and heartfelt discussion, Neil had no choice but to agree to my decision. He understood that my mind was made up and that my priority was now my family and our future together. The evening continued with shared stories and reflections, the scotch providing a warm backdrop to our conversation. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with the realization that this chapter of my life was coming to an end. Yet, there was also a sense of relief and hope for the future. As the night drew to a close, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination to embrace the next phase of my life with my family by my side. My final 3 weeks were far from peaceful, as memories of Andrew haunted me constantly and my survival of the attack. Each day was a struggle, with his face and the events replaying in my mind. On the last day of my shift, I was invited for a send-off by the base commander, and a special lunch was arranged for selected Army officials along with me and Neil. The base commanding officer had just been replaced by CO George, and although we didn't have many conversations, his team had informed him about the sequence of events and my contributions to his company. In the dining hall, the commander stood up, tapped on his plate, and grabbed the attention of everyone present. The room fell silent as he began to speak. "Our comrade has served us for a decade. We come and we go, we make tours, but he stayed back, always supporting everyone who walked into the base. We thank you for the services rendered and we are in debt to you. Do not remember the bitter experiences and the hardships, but do remember the memorable ones you spent with us. From all of us, we give a standing ovation." As he finished speaking, all the people in the cafeteria stood up. Some who were still eating stopped and rose to their feet. Neil was standing beside me, and I knew he would miss me the most. The sight of everyone standing in my honor was overwhelming. I didn't have words to reciprocate the gesture, so I simply bowed my head with my right hand on my heart, thanking each and every one of them. The applause echoed in the hall, a mix of appreciation and farewell. It was a poignant moment, filled with a sense of closure and gratitude. Neil, sensing my emotions, placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. His presence was a reminder of the bonds I had formed over the years, bonds that would remain despite the distance. When the time came to leave, I took one last look around the dining hall, committing the faces and the moment to memory. With a final wave, I walked out. After the lunch, Neil once again approached me, his expression a mix of concern and hope. As he shook my hand, he asked me to reconsider my decision, emphasizing how much my presence and contributions meant to the team. He also gave me an option to change the base country to either Egypt or Doha or Erbil. His words were heartfelt, and I could see the genuine care in his eyes. Unable to hold back my emotions, I went ahead and hugged the big man who had always been my pillar and role model. Neil was more than just a colleague. He was the one who had set my life on its current path and given me direction in my profession. If it hadn't been for him, I might still be working in Saudi, far from the life and career I had built. I thanked Neil for being my pillar and support, expressing my deep gratitude for everything he had done for me. His guidance and mentorship had been invaluable, and I wanted him to know how much I appreciated it. I also made it a point to thank everyone at the base who had supported me over the years. Each person had played a role in my journey, and I wanted to acknowledge their contributions. I met with each colleague who had worked alongside me, sharing memories and expressing my gratitude. The close ones within the army, those who had become like family, received special thanks. Their companionship and support had made the challenging times bearable and the good times memorable. As I made my rounds, the reality of my departure began to sink in. Each handshake, hug, and word of thanks was a step towards closure. The base had been my home for so long, and the people there had been my extended family. Saying goodbye was not easy, but it was necessary, for the new chapter 1 was about to begin. With a final wave and a heart full of gratitude, I boarded my last Air Force cargo flight to Dubai. As I stepped into the cargo hold, I saw Neil in tears, and the usually pale, heavy-set man had turned a shade of pink. Oliver stood next to Neil, and even the commanding officer had come to see me off. As the hatch closed, I said my final goodbye to the country that had given me a place to live and earn my livelihood. Thus, my tenure with the U.S. Army and the UN peacekeeping forces concluded on the 31st of January 2011. It was the end of a significant chapter in my life, one filled with challenges and unforgettable experiences. As I stepped into the next phase, I carried with me the lessons learned, the friendships forged, and the unwavering support of my family. The road ahead is unknown, a long highway to tread. Life still to live, with new paths to be led. The journey so far has been a wonderful roller coaster ride. But from now on, no old mates are here by my side. Starting afresh with my better half near. Together we'll face each new day without fear. Though the future is uncertain, and the path not clear, with love and support, we'll persevere. End of chapter 17. Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates on the next chapters. Thank you for listening and subscribing.